who still doubts Marc Marquez. After spending weeks facing criticism, questions about his physical condition, and claims that he was no longer capable of dominating the modern MotoGP era, the world champion delivered the ultimate response at the Hungarian Grand Prix. With a stunning performance that left his rivals helpless, Marquez matched the all-time record for sprint race victories and once again proved that his killer instinct on the racetrack has never disappeared. Is this the sign that Marquez has truly returned to his very best and is now ready to take control of this season's World Championship battle? Let's discuss. Throughout the week leading up to the Hungarian Grand Prix at Ballatin Park, Marc Marquez consistently played down expectations. He repeatedly stated that he was not in good enough condition to fight for victory. The reigning world champion even openly identified the Aprilia riders as the main favourites and urged everyone to forget the possibility of him competing at the front. What happened in the Hungarian GP sprint race, however, was the complete opposite of everything he had been saying. Marquez delivered a remarkable performance and produced one of the finest sprint rides of the 2026 season. Not only did he secure pole position, but the Ducati Lenovo Team rider also dominated the race from lights out to the checkered flag, leaving his rivals trailing by a convincing margin. Saturday morning began with a difficult situation for Ducati. The circuit remained extremely slippery due to the newly laid asphalt, causing problems for several riders, including Marquez and Fabio Di Giannantonio, who crashed almost simultaneously at turn 1. For many riders, a crash during qualifying would have ended any hopes of securing a top starting position, but not for Marquez. After the crash, he picked himself up and returned to the track with incredible determination. The result was outstanding. Marquez snatched pole position from Pedro Acosta by just 0.053 seconds. That razor-thin margin served as further proof that Marquez's natural speed remains among the very best, even while he continues recovering from injury. Meanwhile, Gresini racing rider Fermin Aldeguer completed the front row after posting a lap time 0.3 of a second slower than Marquez. The pole position was the first indication that the caution and humility Marquez had displayed throughout the week might not have fully reflected the true pace he had in reserve. If pole position was already surprising, what Marquez achieved in the sprint race was even more impressive. As soon as the lights went out, he launched perfectly and immediately took complete control of the race. There were no prolonged battles, no significant pressure from his rivals, and no moments where he appeared to be struggling. Lap after lap, his advantage continued to grow. In the end, Marquez crossed the finish line approximately 2.5 seconds ahead of Pedro Acosta, who finished second. This victory was not the result of luck, tyre strategy, or mistakes from his competitors. It was a pure victory earned through speed and complete domination on the racetrack. The rider, who had spent the previous days insisting that he could not fight for victory, ended up leading every lap and winning by a comfortable margin. Before the sprint race, Pedro Acosta had looked extremely promising. The KTM rider was the fastest competitor during Friday practice and the only rider capable of setting lap times in the 1:36 range. He even held an advantage of more than 0.4 of a second over the rest of the field. However, once the sprint race began, Acosta had no answer for Marquez's pace and ultimately had to settle for second place. Meanwhile, the leader of the 2026 MotoGP World Championship standings, Marco Bezzecchi, delivered a strong recovery ride. Starting from 6th position, the Aprilia rider fought his way up to 3rd place and secured the final podium spot. The result allowed Bezzecchi to limit the damage in the championship battle despite being unable to match Marquez's pace. Raul Fernandez finished 4th, followed by Fermin Aldeguer in 5th after making a mistake on the final lap. The victory in the 2026 Hungarian Grand Prix sprint race was far more than just another trophy added to Marc Marquez's remarkable career. It marked a historic achievement, as the Ducati Lenovo Team rider equalled the all-time sprint race wins record previously held by Jorge Martin. Marquez and Martin now share the record with 18 sprint race victories, each since the short format race was officially introduced to MotoGP in 2023. The statistic further highlights Marquez's consistency and reinforces his status as one of the most competitive riders of the modern MotoGP era. What makes this achievement even more special is the fact that Marquez spent much of the sprint race era competing under far from ideal circumstances. He had to overcome multiple injuries, endure lengthy recovery periods, and face the major challenge of adapting to the characteristics of a Ducati machine after spending many years racing for Honda. Even more impressive, this historic record was achieved just 20 days after Marquez underwent double surgery on his leg and shoulder. In an incredibly short period of time, he managed to return to the highest level of competition and immediately place his name alongside the rider with the most sprint race victories in MotoGP history. It is yet another clear demonstration that Marquez's championship mentality and extraordinary talent remain among the greatest strengths in the MotoGP paddock today. Ballatin Park is rapidly establishing itself as one of Marquez's favourite circuits. During the inaugural Hungarian Grand Prix in 2025, he secured pole position, won the sprint race, and went on to claim victory in the main Grand Prix as well. Now, in the 2026 season, Marquez has once again conquered the sprint race. That means his perfect record at Ballatin Park remains intact without a single defeat. The circuit's anti-clockwise layout, combined with its numerous heavy braking zones, appears to suit the aggressive riding style that has long defined Marquez throughout his career. Throughout the week, Marquez repeatedly insisted that he was not in a position to make a comeback. He even firmly dismissed the possibility of reaching the podium when questioned by the media. On Friday, after setting the fastest time in FP1, Marquez still maintained that qualifying on the second row of the grid would already be a very good result for him. He also explicitly stated that he had no chance of winning the sprint race, yet just one day later, he won by a commanding margin of 2.5 seconds. There are two possible explanations. First, Marquez genuinely did not expect his body to hold up so well after surgery, meaning he was as surprised as anyone by the result. Second, he may have intentionally lowered expectations to reduce pressure while quietly knowing that his pace was strong enough to fight for victory. Most likely, the truth lies somewhere between those two scenarios. As impressive as this sprint race victory was, the biggest test has yet to come. The sprint race lasted only 13 laps, while the Grand Prix distance is more than twice as long. At Mugello a few weeks ago, Marquez revealed that the nerve surgery he underwent had finally eliminated the numbness in his arm. However, he also admitted that his muscles had not yet fully recovered and still required time to regain their previous strength. The sprint race proved that his current physical condition is capable of handling a shorter distance battle. But the real question remains: can Marquez's body maintain the same level of performance throughout the entire Grand Prix on Sunday? Share your thoughts in the comments below